At Rainbow Mealworms, we grow all our insects 100% naturally so that you get the freshest, most lively feeders on the market. So for all your reptile food needs, place your order today at rainbowmealworms.net.
Hey, what's up, Rattlers? So a lot of you guys have asked me to do another boa episode. Well, I'm at Dave Palumbo's place right now in southern Florida. Dave has a channel called Muscle Serpents University. You guys have got to check that out. But for now, come with me and let's go check out some awesome boas. I'm Dave Kaufman, and I am obsessed with reptiles, and I have been since I was 9 years old. 25 years later, I made a trilogy of award-winning movies about them. Now my life is all about touring the world in search of them in wild places, and checking out some of the most awesome breeding facilities and reptile expos while I'm at it. So come with me and join my Reptile Adventures. All right, Dave, so show us some boas.
Yeah, Dave, I want to give you a little overview of, I got into this a little later than most people do. You know, it was a hobby and now it's becoming more than that. And obviously boas are one of my passions. You know, I really love them because they're, unlike ball pythons, although I love the ball pythons, they're a little more animated. You know, they're a little bit more like, have personality. And I love the fact that no one's really done anything over the top yet with the boas. I think it's just starting to get rolling. So I bought a lot of babies, you know, from various top breeders, from like Vin Russo, guys like that, and I grew them up. I didn't do it the way of trying to buy adults. I said, I'm gonna just start from scratch. I'm not gonna rush myself. And last year was the first year, 2017, where the boas were finally at breeding age. So I got 4 great litters. I'm gonna show you these boas, and I'll show you what I have coming up for 2018. So I wanna show you this first boa. This was my first litter of 2017. This boa may not look like much, but it's a double het for blood, the Ron St. Pierre line, and it's double, and it also has the het for something called Boa Woman Caramel. There's a lot of T-positive caramel boas out there lines. There's the VPI line, there's the Boa Woman Caramel line, there's the Prodigy line. So this is Boa Woman Caramel. The thing that makes this special is that this particular line of caramel can line up on the same allele as the sharp albino boa. And what you do is when you get those two lining up perfectly, you get what's called a paradigm boa. And it's like a slightly darker albino, slightly lighter caramel. So I bred her to a sharp albino het for blood male. And what we produced, obviously the holy grail, was the paradigm blood, the visual. The combination of that Boa Woman Caramel with the sharp albino and then the recessive blood. Once again, I didn't really know what to expect, but it was better than my expectations. You know, everyone's holy grail prior to this was the albino blood, you know, and there's obviously a call version, there's a sharp version they call the fire opal. This is something even different, and I know that, you know, there's a lot of breeders out there now who are seeing this as kind of like the thing that they want to produce now because it's different than what everyone else is producing. So this year I actually have the sharp het blood male in with a hypo blood het sharp albino female, and I'm going to try to make these fire opals, which I haven't produced yet. I've only produced the paradigm bloods, which most people think was better, but you know, now this year we're going to get some true albino bloods. One of the boas I was really excited about producing last year was what's called the sterling boa, or the patternless boa. Now Vin Russo took a sterling boa and he bred it to his line of line-bred pastel boas he calls the Russo Red Pastels. And they also have the hypo gene in there. So he produced hypo Russo Reds het for sterling. I bought a pair from him in 2014. I believe mine bred before his did last year, and I produced some visuals which I'm going to show you. Now if you look at these snakes here, you'll see it's a very big boa. It's one of the bigger boas I have. She might be the biggest boa, and I have the male in with her as well. Once again, these are the hets, and one of the ways I think you can tell the hets visual cue-wise is that they do sometimes have the striping on the tail. Now that could also be from the hypo gene in there, I'm not sure, but you could tell that this snake has a lot of red in it for an adult snake, and that's because Vin bred, you know, his Russo red line, which is basically like 20 years worth of picking the reddest snakes and just keep breeding for them. It's a line bred trait. This is not.
I was just going to say, so this is more of a line bred trait.
Yeah, this is line bred, but obviously there is a hypo gene in here as well. And when I bred them together, I produced, I believe, 6 visual sterlings, which was great out of a litter of 20. I mean, it really was better than the odds. The odds would have said like 4 or 5, and I got 6, and they're exquisite, and one better than the other. And I'll show you my holdbacks. Some of them are just super red. You would swear there's blood gene in there.
Whoa.
there's the males in the back too. That male I produced 2 years ago.
She is fantastic.
Yeah. There's a boa that was produced that they called the Eclipse Boa. What that was is if you took the leopard, which is a recessive, and you combine it with the motley gene, you produce a solid patternless snake. It's like a black snake. And what I saw of this was that this is one of the coolest looking snakes I've ever seen. And so I bought a pair of snakes from a guy by the name of Joe Consolini. He produced this albino, this with the females, albino, motley, het for leopard. And I bred her last year to a double het. It was a hypo, actually, double het albino leopard. And what I produced was something that I don't know if anyone in the United States had produced, which was an albino eclipse. So it was a leopard, visual albino with the motley gene. And they were solid patternless. I produced 3 of them, and they didn't survive. Ugh. They only lasted a week. They had big bellies, and I don't know if they would if they came out too premature or what. But I got unlucky with it. So I'm hoping this year that maybe we can hit that albino eclipse and actually have the snake live. But she's beautiful. When she was a baby, her tail was like a pink striped tail, and that's why her name is Pinky. This one, she had a pink striped tail. Once again, when the boas get a little older, they kind of they lose some of their pattern. But this male, believe it or not, here, he's gorgeous. He's an albino het for leopard. He almost looks leopard. And it's a sun glow, which means he's got the hypo gene in here.
Right.
I produced him from this albino leopard I have up here that I got from Tom Burke. And she's going into shed. I think she's gravid. I bred him to her as well.
Yeah, she does look a little...
We're going to try to produce some albino leopards this year that I've never produced. I never hit the visual, but he was close. And like I said, you could tell the visual. You see this little patterning outside? That's kind of like that leopard in there. The het leopard is very visual. I almost think that leopard might be a code, or incomplete dominant, as opposed to, recessive, which is what we all classify it as. There's a couple of breeders out there who believe the same thing.
So this is an amazing snake. It almost looks melanistic. I love the contrast here. So tell us about these guys.
The IMG gene, increasing melanistic gene, is like one of the hottest also genes in boas. It's a gene that as the snake ages, they get darker and darker until they turn jet black in some cases. This is actually an anutheristic, okay, so that means no red, IMG. It also is het for albino, which is cool, because my idea when I bought her from Mike Weitzman at Basically Boas, produces some amazing boas, is I wanted to breed her to a moonglow boa, which a moonglow boa is a hypo, albino, anutheristic, and produce moonglow IMGs, which I don't even know what would happen, because as the snake gets darker and darker, if you have no melanin, does that mean the snake would just get whiter and whiter? It definitely, the way you can tell when they're born is that the saddles and the pattern are super enhanced in the albinos that have this IMG gene. But what would it do in a moonglow? Who knows? Now these moonglows, if you look at the moonglow here, the moonglow, when they're born, they're like white, and then they get a little yellowed out as they get older. I saw them lock last year like 1,000,000 times, and I got nothing. So I repeated the breeding again this year. She looks really big. She actually looks like she's, she might even have something in her already. I mean, so I don't know. I'm hoping, I think that you can't go wrong with what we're going to get here. We get 50% would be albino, 50% would be obviously just dark, which is good, because a lot of people don't want the albino. They actually want the black snake, and she is everywhere jet black except right under her chin. If you look, that's her only place she's white. And I would think I think that would indicate the het albino right there, probably sneaking through.
All right, so I see you have a Scoria here, which is my favorite boa morph. Tell us about her.
Yeah, I mean, what can you say about a Scoria? It looks like it's got 40 genes mixed into it, and they're just awesome looking. They got this purples and pinks in there, and the pattern is reduced, and it looks weird. It's like someone drew it on with like a magic marker, and they're just wacky. I think people are really just getting into them right now, and they're starting to mix genes into it. And I'll show you in the other room when we go to the baby room. I have a hypo jungle het sharp Scoria, which is just wacky looking. And
Can't wait to see that.
Next year I'll be breeding her, so we'll see what I can produce from her, and then obviously it'll take a few more years before I get the other one up to size, but this is probably next year's most exciting project.
Look at this beauty. Now you said you had a surprise in this one. Oh, look at that.
It's Jeremy Stone, obviously, is the guy who was the founder on this super fire gene. When you double up that fire gene, you get a leucistic boa. It's the only leucistic boa that we know of right now. Black-eyed leucistic, as you can see, those nice black eyes. Yeah. And they have a little speckling on them. Now, what Jeremy tells me, he goes, that's from other genes mixed into it. I said, Jeremy, what other genes are in there? He goes, I don't know. I have a feeling there might be like a Motley gene or something like, or Central American, like T positive or something like that. But when he got that leucistic, he just bred it into everything. She's awesome. I mean, I bred her to to a fire diamond male. So we'll make 50% super fires if she goes this year. I just love it. I mean, there's nothing complex about it. I don't think you could really improve on what this snake looks like. You know, a white boa with black eyes. It's just so perfect that you can mix a million more genes into it. I don't think you're ever going to make it any better than this. And I think, once again, the price has really been dropping. So I think probably within another 2-3 years, this will be a snake that someone probably could buy for $500, maybe $800 and have in their collection. And it's just like, it's a showpiece. Because when people come in here, they see the snake and they're like, oh, that's the best one I've seen. Because it's just so pure, and as it gets bigger, I think it just looks better and better, And she's, like I said, she potentially could have babies in her. I don't know if she's shed yet, but she'll probably by the summer produce something if she's going to produce. And like I said, I hope so. My problem is I don't want to keep back 5 or 10 babies because I won't want to get rid of any of those solid white ones, and because they're so cool looking, especially when they're first born, they're like flawless. And as they get older, if you look at her head, you'll see a little bit of yellow. The founder animal, had the same thing. And if you notice, the snout is a little longer too on these, I noticed. And they seem to have a little bit smaller eyes than a lot of the boas. So there's definitely a distinct look to this boa. Some people speculate that it's really not a boa constrictor imperator. It might be Amarali. So it could either be constrictor, or it could be Amarali. So we don't really know what the, I guess, subspecies of this is, but I will tell you it's a unique looking boa.
But the founding snake was a leucistic found in the wild.
Right, in Brazil. How it got out of Brazil, we don't really know.
Yeah.
It made it out of there.
Stuff has a way of getting out of things.
Which, thank God, because it enabled us to see this gene. This is a snake that's not going to live in the wild. It's not going to survive. So whoever got it out, saved the species in a sense. And the fire gene, which is when you have one copy of it, it lightens things up. It's almost like the ball python fire gene. So you can mix that into a lot of different things and produce some cool stuff too.
Sure.
Obviously, the super fire is kind of like people would call it a dead end. To me, it's a really beautiful dead end. But let's face it, that fire gene will do a lot with the boa breeding in the future.
Gotcha. All right. So here's the question: all the rattlers out there want to know. Here in 2018, what is the value of this animal right now? If somebody came in and said, "I want to buy this snake."
Yeah. Well, because it's a breeding female, it probably is way more. I would say it's probably worth 20 grand. But if you want to buy a like I said, a baby, super fire, you're probably going to pay anywhere still from $5,000 to $8,000, depending on how desperate the person is for money who's selling it. But I wouldn't sell them under $8,000 right now. I think that's
$8,000. Okay.
That's really what they're probably worth right now. Now you got to remember the hets, which are really not hets, the visual hets, the fire diamonds were going for that, 3 years ago. So, the fact that you can buy a visual now is still awesome, and I think, like I said, I believe in another 3 years, these snakes will be affordable for just about, most keepers.
All right, so this was the adult boa room. Let's go see all the babies now.
So this is what I have left of the 4 litters, 1 litter, 2 litters, 3 litters, 4 litters I produced last year in 2017. Some of this stuff is cool, I'll show you, but more importantly, it's with the holdbacks that I kept, that I kind of moved to a little bigger container so we could start growing them up. Let me give you an idea of what we had produced. Now, I wanted to show you the hypo jungle scoria that we mentioned in the other room.
Yeah. This is definitely something I want to check out.
This is...
oh, look at that.
You can see the reduced pattern. It's really much pinker. If you look at the tail is really, you'll see it. There's no black on the snake.
I was just going to say.
There's no black outline. It's all the hypo erased the black, essentially. I almost thought it was a super hypo, initially, but there's no black on the snake, whereas the regular Scoria has black outlining. And once again, the actual little whatever's left of the saddles are reduced because of the jungle gene in there.
Yeah.
And then you have the het sharp albino in there as well. So she's going to be a powerhouse, moving forward.
That is a great looking boa. Wow. So just like the leucistic, this is probably one of my favorite morphs, and that you put so much into the snake as far as other genes. That is a Scoria that's amazing. So what would be the price of this Scoria right now?
The truth of the matter is I did trade some boas for this girl with the person who produced her, and so I kind of didn't pay what it was worth, but they're probably going for that snake is probably a $12,000 snake, I would say. So this one with all the added genes is worth obviously a lot more than the regular Scoria in there. I think the prices are probably down around $4,000 or $5,000 for the regular Scoria at this point.
And so this one with all the added genes, what would you think?
Like double, I would say, like, you know, $10,000 to $12,000, I would think.
Gotcha.
And I don't think there's that many. I don't even think there's any that you can buy. I got lucky. I think the person I bought it from, he kept the male that he produced, and he sold me the female. We traded. This is the patternless boa I was telling you about. And if you look at all this red, this is all from the hypogene combined with the Russo red pastel line that I was telling you about. A normal sterling boa would be almost like a tan solid patternless boa, but this is not a normal, you know, sterling. This has got that Russo red pastel plus the hypogene, and it just makes it super, super, super red. And to me, that just makes this boa like crazy looking, because it's so different than the regular Scoria. I mean, look at that tail. I mean, that's just exquisite.
Okay, so this one's the male over here.
Yeah.
Oh, that is just striking.
These are the two best I kept back, you know, because
Yeah. All right, so this one is the male here. This one is the female, just to reference that.
As you can see, she's a little bigger because I always give my females a little extra food.
Absolutely. I think everybody does that.
Yeah. Well, the males boas, they breed when they're teeny. They don't eat a lot of food.
That's right.
If anything, you should starve your males. I always tell people, because they breed better.
Yeah. Just like ball pythons.
Yeah, exactly. I hardly ever feed them.
Okay, so for everybody watching this right now that's just starting out and just learning, this is the het, and this is the visual from het to het breeding. So you produce het to het, breed this to another het, and you're going to get this animal.
Right. It's got that solid tail. That's usually that solid striping tail. Usually in
that's the marker for het. Is this?
I think it is. No one has confirmed it, but I seem to think the ones with the striped tails. It's like pied when you have a.
That's exactly what I was just thinking.
Like a pied marker almost. Yep. And I don't believe that this snake probably does not have the hypogene in it. The one I'm holding here.
Gotcha.
Those definitely do.
Gorgeous.
So that's what's so great. You can get a pretty decent price on a het, and you could actually make your own sterlings, which is what I did, which is really the exciting thing to do, because then you go into your boa room, you open up your tub, and you got a solid patternless snake, you know, that's just wacky looking like that. That's what breeding's all about.
Absolutely. Well, I think you're going to get a lot of people to get interested in sterlings here.
Yeah. It seems to be the hottest new thing. It's probably the most people commenting and contacting me were about how do they get involved with this project.
About the sterlings, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, gorgeous snakes. Right, so this is the other female.
This is my second holdback female. I kept 2 females back and 1 male. I don't know why. I just said, you know what, I'm going to, just in case. And I thought she was kind of unusual looking too, so I said, you know what, I'm just going to hold her back. You know, like I said, there's not many of these out there, so they're valuable at this point. And, you know, if I can get these up to breeding size, you know, I want to really, what I was going to do is I was going to produce more sterlings with one of them, and I was going to breed the paradigm blood into this sterling project with the other one, and that's the game plan, so to speak.
I absolutely love how the red just kind of bleeds in.
Yeah, it's
and just fades into the rest of the body like that.
She's interesting looking. That's why I didn't want to sell her. I said, maybe something else is going on.
Yeah, no, that is fantastic. That is a gorgeous animal.
It seems like every sterling looks just a little different. They're not like clones of each other, which is also what makes this whole project kind of cool.
Oh, that's really interesting.
They don't look the same. Not each one of them has their own distinguishing, you know, patches of red and somewhat of a little bit of a stripe here, you know, even though there's no saddles on it, definitely does have something going on there in terms of pattern.
Now that is a gorgeous snake.
This is a super onyx. It's from Freek Nut in the Netherlands. He found that he produced it by accident in his collection. When you breed 2 onyx together, you produce this super onyx, which is a jet black snake. When you put the T positive, he used the Honduran T positive, which is a much more vibrant T positive, it turned red and it produced this red snake. When they're babies, they're like really, really red. Now it's kind of like browned out a little bit, but what a powerhouse this is, and I'll be breeding him to a very interesting female I have above.
All right, so you said you'd save the best for last. Let's check this out. Oh.
All right, I don't know if you can even guess what's in there. Obviously, you can see the snake is getting darker and darker as it gets older, so it's got the IMG, increasing melanistic gene in there. There's also the motley. You can see that motley pattern, the circles that kind of go down the back of the snake. There's also jungle in there, which kind of messes up the pattern as well. And there's also fire diamond in there. You know, we saw the leucistic, the super fire earlier. There's fire in here, which lightens things up, but now that lightening up is getting darker because we got the IMG gene in there. And it's also, believe it or not, het for entering. You pretty much got a lot going on in this snake.
So this is a powerhouse.
Yeah, This is a female. Now, one of the things that I might want to do is I might want to breed a super fire male, if I produce any this year, to this girl when she's old enough, and see what a super fire IMG looks like. Would the leucistic just wipe out the IMG gene, or would the IMG have any influence on it? A lot of people have been speculating on the Facebook message boards and stuff like that. What would it look like? That might be something I might try with her.
All right, so this is an absolutely gorgeous boa, and it's a powerhouse. So again, rattlers want to know, how much would this guy cost?
Once again, I luckily traded for this snake, but it's probably worth about $5,000, I would say. And remember, this is not a super fire. We're talking about a single gene fire, but we got that IMG gene in there with the motley, with the het aneuphoristic, and it's actually possible, het for VPI T positive. So there's so many genes floating around this thing. I don't even know what I'm going to breed it to, but like I said, I might just go for the super fire with this and see what we can get, and see what shows up. Because once again, the only way we're going to find out what happens with these genes is if someone actually does the experimentation and tries it out. And maybe someone will hit it before I do. But once again, I like to grow these females up nice and slow, take their time, and then, hopefully by then we'll have something cool that we can mix her with.
And then you're going to spend 6 months looking at the babies going, what's in this one? What's in this one?
Exactly. You know what? It seems like with the boa world, you can't go wrong with the IMG gene, and the fire gene seems to be super popular as well. And it seems like when you put motley into things, everything looks better with it. So, who knows what kind of crazy interactions we can have and some crazy stuff that we might produce in the future.
So rattlers, this has been an awesome tour of Palumbos, pythons, and boas here in South Florida. It was so cool to check out some of these amazing morphs. Some of them I've never even seen before. So like this video, share this video, hit that subscribe button, and when you do, make sure to hit that bell so you never miss a notification when I upload. And when you comment below, I want to hear from you guys what your favorite boa was that you saw here today. So until the next adventure, rattlers, love the planet, feed your reptile obsession, and rattle on.